And there's also a... Now this machine, I like it so much, I bought a Dell bag for it. Totally related to the video. This machine is very bulbous, so I'm trying to hold it carefully without trying to make it drop, and that's not very good for it. Good day, folks. What we're taking a look at is a Dell Latitude CPI from 1999. This was a yard sale find, and I actually bought this machine rather unsuspectingly or something for $5. Now, what was weird about how I bought it was it came in not only one laptop bag, okay, cool, but it came in two. Why, I don't know. It came in two. One was for an in-focus projector of some kind, and then the other was some nice other bag that's just in my room. But it was kind of strange, because there was no point to the other bag, I guess, other than housing this machine, which was in a completely separate bag. Not sure what that was all about, but it's whatever. Anyway, taking a look at this particular unit, this is actually a very uncommon model of the CPI. Now, there are many different configurations of these things. I believe there were like versions of 233 megahertz Pentium 2s all the way up to 300 megahertz Pentium 2s, and I thought that was where they quit and that's where they were going to make a new generation. But no, I did not know that they ever made a generation like this. They actually made a 400 megahertz version of the CPI. And this is one of those machines. This is a 400 megahertz Pentium 2 Dell Latitude CPI, which I thought was just crazy because I didn't think they'd ever really make something like that, but they did. So that was just awesome to find for $5. I mean, really. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the ports on this machine. I'm going to try to hopefully keep the lid closed because, yeah, it also seems to be slightly bent, which is interesting. Although typical LCD screens, they tend to do that. I'm not sure what's up with that. It might be something else. Anyway, on the left we have the lithium battery, which actually still holds a charge. I was really impressed to see that. This battery is basically like 17 years old, 18 years old, maybe even older. I'm not sure. And it still holds a freaking charge for like, I don't know how long. I'm not about to test it because I don't want it to die on me like my old C600 did. And right there is a CD-ROM drive. However, that is a multi-bay, and you can actually put in a bunch of accessories into the multi-bay. It's not the later D-bay, but it's a multi-bay in and of itself, which is rather nice. On the right-hand side, we have the right speaker. We have a microphone jack, a headphone jack, and a line-in jack, as well as your Dell proprietary power supply jack. And then I think that's like some kind of air intake for the CPU. I'm not entirely sure. There's a like heatsink thing there, but I'm not sure what that goes to. Also, there is a little tiny bit of damage to this machine, although that might just be from the continuous opening and closing of the display, to which it's causing case separation right there. But that's basically the only major flaw, or minor flaw in this case, with the system, which is very impressive to see after all these years. There is a single CPU fan. We have a 25-pin parallel port, a single USB port. This machine is very bulbous, so I'm trying to hold it carefully without trying to make it drop, and that's not very good for it. There you can see a docking station port, or I guess you could say port replicator port. We have a 9-pin serial, we have VGA, and a combination PS2 keyboard and mouse connector, although I suppose you could probably get a splitter and you can use both keyboard and mouse with just one port if there was an accessory for that. And there's also an infrared data transfer port for printing or syncing across your personal digital assistants. And on the left hand side we have two card bus compatible PCM CIA card slots, so 2 Type 2s or 1 Type 3. We have your hard drive bay, a Kensington security lock, and the left speaker. Taking a look at the underside of this machine, you can see the obvious standout of the Microsoft Windows 98 2nd Edition product key, which I suppose it's alright if you guys can use. I don't see any problem with that. And here you can see the model number is PPL. It's very productive, Dell. I like your model numbers. But this is the CPI A series, and this one, like I mentioned, is the 400 megahertz Pentium 2 model, which is a very uncommon configuration for something like this. You can see all the governs there. Now, one thing that really kind of confused me at first was the way you upgrade the memory on the system. Now, I do actually have the other memory modules, so you're going to notice there's a memory module area that's blank. I do have the other one. I just took it out because I was going to do something with this machine and I just haven't gotten around to doing it. But I'll show you the bay anyway. So basically, I think this is going to take 2 hands to do it. You have to like pry up on one end, and then you pull forward. And that's how you would upgrade the memory. And there's also your flash BIOS there, as far as I know. Or some kind of ROM socket or whatever. I just find this bizarre. Like, why would they do something like this, where there's no screws holding the door on? I'm not sure what's up with that. But that's how Dell did it, so I guess that's how it works. I don't know. I don't necessarily trust that sort of door where it's just going to pop out at any given moment, although I guess it locks in place. And there's no screws on the hard drive door, so I have to watch out on that because I don't want that falling out and causing a corruption to happen on the IDE bus or the hard drive, or both. So, yeah. Speaking of the hard drive, while I'm here, we can go ahead and pull it out, although somebody was tampering with this before I got it because there's no screws holding the hard drive in except for the back plane. But this is the original hard drive to the computer, I suppose. It's a 6 gig hard drive, 4200 RPM. Now, the drive was made in July 2000, so this might actually be when this machine was made, but I'm not sure if that's actually true or not. So this might be a replacement, this might be some extra drive because maybe the original died and this is all they had, hence why there's missing screws. I'm not sure. All I know is that this drive is era appropriate, but it's not the same. I don't think that's what this would have shipped with when it was new. However, I have not looked up the service tag on the system other than to look up drivers, so I wouldn't know. I don't remember if Dell actually has all the equipment list still on their website for this particular model of Latitude. Here we are on the inside of the machine. Here you can see the stickers for Intel Inside Pentium 2 and the design for Windows 2000, Windows NT Workstation 4.0, and Windows 98 sticker, as well as the very decent, I guess that's a 12-inch, active matrix color display. And you can also see that there's the interesting omission of the eraser head mouse on the keyboard, which would usually be right there. However, it's not on this, which is weird. You only get a touchpad. Which, it's actually not a bad touchpad. The buttons feel like you're going to snap them at any moment, given that they hinge when they click. So you feel like you're going to snap them off because, of course, this is basically, at this point, nearly 20-year-old plastic. But the keyboard is actually what's very interesting about this machine. So if I shine the light here, you can see that there is a very small shiny spot there on the space bar, and there's ever so slight marks of shiny spots on the keyboard and certain other keys that are more popularly used. Now, what's interesting about this machine when I got it was some of the original software that was on here when I got the machine, not when it was new, but when I got it, included some typing teaching software, so that might explain why the keyboard has some wear on it, especially the spacebar, because those software programs tend to heavily emphasize the use of the spacebar, which is kind of odd. The touchpad also has a little shiny spot on it, and you can definitely tell it's been used, but it's not beaten to hell, which is nice to see for an old machine like this. The hinges are actually very good, which really surprised me. They're not fatiguing, they're not stuck, they're not loose. So the screen hinges are still in immaculate condition for what they are. In fact, they're so stiff that it pulls the whole machine up at that angle, which is kind of funny. So yeah, this machine really does impress me with how good of condition it is. There's also a little wear on the palm rest there, which is kind of interesting. Probably because that's where they rest their hand. Funny. Anyway. So let's go ahead and fire the computer up. Now, as for the software, you're probably going to be disappointed because there's really nothing on this machine at the moment. But that's because when I actually initially installed the operating system on this machine to wipe out the old installation of Windows XP that was on this machine when I got it, which was rather bizarre, the installation of Windows 98 that I put on this machine ended up getting corrupted somehow, which was weird. Don't know what was up with that, but it ended up getting corrupted in some way, so I'm not sure if it was the unofficial service pack that I used or what the deal was, but whatever. Anyway, let's go ahead and fire this up and we'll attempt to see if the battery still holds a charge here. yeah, still holds a charge. Not bad. So this is the Latitude CPI A400XT. So I'm not sure if this was the highest end model or close to being the highest end. I'm not sure. But I don't suppose it really matters too much. The BIOS date is from 2000, so I have suspicions of thinking that this might actually be made in 2000, but that's awfully late for a Pentium 2 machine. You would think Function F7 would change the text scaling. It's supposed to. Anyway, so as you can see, 400 megahertz Pentium 2, 128 megs of memory because it used to have 256, but I took out one of the 128 meg sticks. And you can see 2.5 megs of video memory, 256K of cache. Most Pentium 2 400 megahertz machines have 512K of cache, so I guess that's just a compromise of the laptop designed Pentium 2. You can tell this backlight actually is pretty good condition still. It doesn't show up on camera. There's a little bit of a dim spot, and it's more bright around the edges. But on camera, you really can just barely make it out on that corner, so the camera really doesn't do it justice, but comparative to how worn these screens can get, this one's still in decent shape. So that definitely does speak a lot for this machine. Anyway, the BIOS is a typical Dell BIOS. You've probably seen one of these things on one of their various old 1990s Dell machines. It's Alt-P for this stuff. Looks like the battery is at 86%, so it's still doing pretty well. And there's all the power saving stuff. So, whatever. Let's go ahead and let it boot up here. Now, I just threw on a random copy of Windows ME for the moment, just because I wanted an operating system to toss on this machine. That was loud. But I wasn't going to reinstall Windows 98 just because I wanted to test out how well a Windows ME to XP upgrade would work on a machine like this, just for random curiosity. That was the video I had in mind for the machine, because of course I just wasn't sure what I was going to do with it. But I just threw Windows ME on here in the meantime. And you can tell it didn't take an unreasonable amount of time to boot up. It was actually fairly decently quick. Now, Dell does have support for Windows Millennium Edition, but I didn't install too many things. I just installed the drivers, and that's about it. Well, that, and I did install Internet Explorer 6, just because it's always useful to have that update installed, because it does update a bunch of stuff. So anyway, we'll go ahead and do the usual My Computer properties. You can see genuine Intel Pentium 2, 128 megs of RAM. Now, there's really no performance difference between 128 megs and 256 megs when it comes to these 9X operating systems. Where it makes differences is in Windows 2000 and XP, where the extra memory really does help out in terms of performance, because you can cache a lot more software and RAM. But of course, XP is a bottleneck because, of course, it's only got 256 megabytes when even I put in the other memory module, so it's not smart to run XP. But it would make a fantastic 2000 machine, nonetheless. So while we're at it, let's go ahead and play the Windows Millennium Edition preview, just because I want to give you a demo of the speakers without any kind of major copyright flagging. Yeah, I'm not going to get flagged for playing this, so whatever. This will also demonstrate the CPU's capability of playing back video. I think this is MPEG 1, but I could be wrong. But the speakers, even though they lack bass, they actually are nice and clear, and they're decently loud. Let me turn the volume up here. It's also partially compressed because this video is only 700 kilobits a second bandwidth. But you can see it's doing a decent job at playing back video. No frame drops whatsoever. So we'll go ahead and close out of that. However, I'm not sure about this battery's longevity. It seems to be fading fast. It's at 58%, so we better wrap this up. So we'll take a quick look at Device Manager while this machine is on, and we'll see just what we're doing here. So in terms of display adapters, we have a Neomagic 256AV, which that is for both the video and the audio. This is a 1024 by 768 LCD display at 24-bit color, native res, native color depth, which is nice considering the added bonus of the extra video memory to do that with. The modem's just that PC card modem, I think. because it thinks there's a dial-up adapter, but there is none installed on this machine. There is no phone modem. And then you can see the Magic Media 256 AV driver down there. And there is USB on the system, like I mentioned. I'm not sure what Intel chipset this is based on. I don't suppose that it'll probably give me that sort of thing inside the OS, but I'm going to assume it's the Intel 443BX of some description, considering those two devices there. So, very interesting. So, since I'm running this on battery power, and it seems as if it's fading fast, it's at 53 now, and we started at 85 last I checked, so this battery's not exactly the strongest in the world anymore. It is good enough, though, to give me a test of this machine for long enough for a YouTube video demonstration. However, I should probably shut it down here pretty quick. Although, I don't remember, does this actually have hardware MIDI, or is it just using the Microsoft wavetable software synthesis? I'm not sure, I never checked. I think it is just the, yeah. There is no MIDI on this system, it's just using GS wavetable software synthesis, which is kind of disappointing, but considering this machine came out in the late 1990s, when there was less of an emphasis on software making use of MIDI, and more of it just being WDM-based audio devices, which I guess that's fair enough, considering when this machine was made, late 1990s, early 2000s. So this was basically a last of its kind when it came to a Pentium 2. So I guess some compromises had to be made to keep the CPU in line, probably for cost, for money-saving reasons. That's probably why Dell did that, because there were certainly Pentium 3 laptops in 2000, and most people just bought the Celeron counterparts of Pentium 3 laptops just because there was no major difference at the time when it came to performance. Little did they know when Windows XP came around it would actually affect them a lot because of the lack of cache memory, but that's just me. So, I should probably turn that down before I shut it down, because that's going to probably scare the crap out of me next time I go to use this thing. But nonetheless, so I wish I could show more, but again, I didn't bring out the power adapter to that, and there's really nothing on this machine to speak of in terms of software, because I just loaded a fresh install of Windows ME on here just so that way I could use the computer for some degree. But do expect a video on this machine doing an upgrade from Windows ME to XP. That is my intention, to leave 128 megs of memory in the system for that purpose, and then after that video I'm going to put it back to 256, and I'm going to probably put it back on Windows 98. We'll see. But in the meantime, I've got other things I need to do, and I'm out of time. So for now, appreciate you guys taking the time to watch, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.